touch upon is the onset of the menstrual cycle in a girl. It used to happen at 13, 14, 15. Now it's happening much earlier. So that is something I did want to mention at 8 and 9. So parents of daughters need to be a little more watchful and a little more careful because it comes with its own challenges of an emotional development, which is kind of lagging behind the physical development. This is the, beginning of teenage, one of the most beautiful phases of your life. You're attracted to the other gender. You're confused about your own body image. Now here, second thing I want to point out for girls, it becomes a time of, looking at your peers a lot more than boys and becoming a lot more socially and emotionally mature much earlier than the other genders. So this is where your progesterone and estrogen are rising and falling. Periods can be irregular, nothing to worry about. Periods can be delayed, nothing to worry about. They may be very painful to start with. Again, nothing to worry about. Definitely something to, either tolerate or seek medication for. And as teenage goes on and you enter your 20s, most women, the periods should have regularized by now. And can be anywhere from between a 24 to 28-day cycle to up to a 32-day cycle. Anything less than that, faster than that, or longer than that, 40 days, 50 days pe bhi nahi aa raha hai, you need to consult a healthcare provider. Said earlier, till you're 25, 24, your brain is still developing, you're still emotionally immature. This is the ideal time to learn emotional regulation, learn about your body, learn about your cycles, learn about reproductive health, menstrual hygiene, and most importantly, family planning. Please. Talk about the young adults, like you said, just entering the workforce and dealing with relationship issues and their own idea of who they are, especially in this day and age of social media where external validation has become so important. So I'm bringing that up because it ties into the other thing you mentioned, emotional regulation. That has to come from within. And when the focus is outside, even if you've learned those skills, which first of all, not everybody is taught, and definitely my generation, I don't think we were really taught it. We learned whatever our parents were demonstrating or role modeling, and our teachers were trying to tell us. And then, of course, life had some hard knocks, and we all learned. So we see a lot of anxiety in young women, a lot of being unable to balance your work with your personal life, and not being able to draw those boundaries. When you come home, you can leave work behind and vice versa, or being little forceful with people in authority because again, you're not taught those things. You don't have to be rude, but you can be forceful and you can tell people that your personal time is separate from your professional time. When you're starting out, of course, having said that, you may have to put in the extra labor and the extra time. I'm not saying please, become an entitled brat that मैं नहीं काम करूंगा या extra project नहीं लूंगी or whatever. Not like that. But to have those skills is very important. So one thing I would tell young women is, especially women, because given this conventional stereotypes in society about us, you are seen as being dramatic or hysterical when all you're trying to do is maybe put forth your point a little more forcefully and just stand up for yourself, and it's taken the wrong way and some certain words are used which put them on the back foot again. So one, assertiveness training, train yourself to say your piece without being rude. Two, emotionally regulate yourself so that you are responding to a situation, not reacting out of the emotion. Third, very good point you raised, mental health issues around this age. Once the period has stabilized and the mood swings that you brought up, one can be the emotional, psychological, social impact that life has on us, and you're not able to kind of switch from mood to mood and respond appropriately. The second is around your periods, there is something called premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDD. Now, a lot of people are not aware of this, and it has become a laughing matter in society, which naturally, being in the space, I'm not happy about, and being of the gender. कि तुम्हारे periods होंगे इसलिए तुम्हारा mood खराब है. Oh my God, are you on your periods? You're being so snappy. Sometimes yes, they are, but it is not a laughing matter. It's something to support someone through.
Right.
So there is medication for it. Literally, like 5 days before the period, you take medication, and then you're fine. Lastly, when you said mood swings in terms of work and relationship and personal life, counseling I recommend to everybody. When you understand yourself, you will be able to deal with the external world in a much better focused manner and not bring more of yourself to the table than is required.
Help in this case, is it advisable or is it
Yes, absolutely, it helps. It is advisable after you've met your care provider. Talk to your obs and gynae, obstetrician and gynecologist, or talk to your psychiatrist. Not everybody has one, but talk to a mental health provider, talk to a psychologist. talk to a counselor, because they'll be able to categorize whether it is, within the realms of normal, to be expected pain, to be expected mood swings, to be expected irritability, or it is a little outside of that. And absolutely, medication helps. Again, being where we are in India, not everybody is open to the idea. But if it is impacting your work life, if it is impacting your relationships, and you have become known as the person who once a month is going to lose their temper, why not? It's going to improve your quality of life. Would you not do something to just fix it when we have that? Science has given it to us. And it's not long term medication. I want to say this again. There are no side effects to this, because it's literally 5 days, 3 to 5 days of medication. And you're going to feel like more cheerful, more stable, able to be rational in situations which call for that rather than emotionality. And you're welcome to go home and curl up in your bed with a chocolate and a hot water bottle. You still do that. Take care of yourself. I will start with the normal population clients rather than patients first, because specifically in the context of planning a family or getting into a relationship, getting married and talking about a baby, even without comorbidities, I always advise some kind of pre-marital and pre-conception counseling session, so that you are on the same page and you know where your support system is and what kind of support you may need during that phase. Then coming to the comorbidities, it can be physical, mental, or both in most cases when the two are going hand in hand. So the common ones your OBG will warn you against, or your GP will give you a lot of advice. There's thyroid issues, there's diabetes, there's hypertension. If you already have these, from my point of view as a psychiatrist, you are going to be a little more prone to some kind of mood changes during pregnancy. So we need to watch out for that. In that case, again, I strongly advise meet a psychiatrist, have a team in place before you proceed with this journey. And regular tests, being in touch with your care providers regularly, very important. Once you've had your counseling sessions, genetic counseling these days is coming up, so what you are prone for and what your baby is prone for, and you can test accordingly. Now, coming to mental illness issues during and before pregnancy, the comorbidities of anxiety, depression, very common. You actually, came up with studies before we started the talk. 1 in 4 people, not just women, 1 in 4 people has an episode of depression in our
Right.
lifetime, and they are not
Right.
treated. Now, in a woman, you may have it before pregnancy, during pregnancy, after pregnancy, at any time of your life. If at the time of planning pregnancy you already have a mental illness that you are under treatment for, you very strongly need to be in touch with both your mental health care provider and your obstetrician and gynecologist, preferably them working together as a team, because a lot of medications will have an impact on pregnancy and vice versa. In pregnancy, the depression kind of goes down and then it rebounds postpartum. Or bipolar affective disorder, an episode may not happen, but the doctor might still keep you on a mood stabilizer so that you don't have an episode during pregnancy and are able to care for yourself and the baby quite well. Anxiety increases during pregnancy. Pregnancy in itself is an anxiety inducing chemical state in the brain. Stress hormones
Right.
are rising. So it
Right.
is quite possible that you'll feel way more anxious than you did earlier and start freaking out about that. But it is to be expected. And a lot of it can be controlled with, simple exercises, breathing exercises, and counseling. And you may not need medication. You don't have to be afraid of medication. I have had a lot of patients. My colleagues have had a lot of women patients who, maybe not by themselves, then because of family pressure or social pressure, stop the medication before pregnancy or during pregnancy, afraid कि बच्चे को कुछ हो जाएगा. But please think of the patient also. She is the one carrying the baby, and a lot of medications don't have these negative side effects. And if she's already been on medication, they are already used to the side effects. So the doctors can plan when to stop, when to restart. Because having an episode of an illness on top of a pregnancy, which is a high stress situation for the body, can be more harmful. And stopping the medication is not always advised for all kinds of illnesses. Like in epilepsy, you don't want to have a seizure when you're pregnant. You don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
please don't do it on your, on your own. Let your doctors decide. You've trusted them to start medication. Trust them to know when to stop, when to restart. Like first trimester, we will all avoid a lot of medications. But if necessary, we will put you on those medications back second trimester onwards, and it's perfectly safe. A lot of medications don't have side effects. The ones which do, we are going to be better aware of it. We will guide you. We don't want to harm you either. So we have to balance those things. Give us the opportunity. I would say that. And
Okay.
having said that, now you need to be aware of how it can interplay, like a
Mm-hmm.
depressive disorder along with a thyroid issue. During
Right.
pregnancy, women can have a thyroid issue and then get diagnosed with depression. In which case, again, you need to go to a doctor, go to a
Mm-hmm.
psychiatrist, and make sure that this thyroid issue, once it resolves post pregnancy, you don't need to be on depression medication anymore, and vice versa. Maybe only
Mm-hmm.
the thyroxine will take care of it. These are
Mm-hmm.
just some specific examples I'm giving so that people are able to keep it in their mind. Please consult
Right.
a medical practitioner for these things.
Absolutely.
Percent of women are mentally affected postpartum. Having personally experienced it, I guarantee it in one way
Right.
or the other. It can be good, bad, ugly, whatever. So, coming
Right.
to the mental health aspect of it, now
Mm-hmm.
sadness is common, mood swings is common, crying is common, and we have kind of normalized it to such an extent that where you
Mm-hmm.
can actually be helped by medication or by counseling, we skip those things also. And
Mm-hmm.
again, we just label कि तो अब तो बच्चा हो गया तो वो तो ऐसी हो गई हैं जी. I have never
Mm-hmm.
understood what that means. वो तो ऐसी हो गई हैं जी, कैसी हो गई हैं जी. So 80% of sadness and crying postpartum is postpartum blues. It is nothing
Okay.
to worry about, but it is definitely something to be aware of, because when you're aware of it, you will be able to deal with it better. More
Mm-hmm.
importantly, your support system, people around you, when they're aware of it, will give you the kind of support you require, not what
Mm-hmm.
they think you require, and you will
Mm-hmm.
be able to go through this. So this will last for anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. It's called postpartum blues. There's crying, there's mood swings, there's irritability, but it passes. The more
Mm-hmm.
serious one that we talk about is postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis. Now,
Mm-hmm.
postpartum depression is around 5 to 10% of cases, and postpartum psychosis very rarely, 1
Mm-hmm.
to 3%, even lesser than that, given the
Mm-hmm.
adequate support system and if you're already in touch with care providers. So,
Mm-hmm.
psychosis, I'll quickly wrap up because this needs hospitalized care. The baby will need to be taken care of separately along with the mother, is where you
Mm-hmm.
have auditory hallucinations or visual hallucinations and delusions. The mother will
Mm-hmm.
think of harming herself, harming a baby. This is slightly more serious and definitely needs better care.
Mm-hmm.
Postpartum depression, on the other hand, while serious because the symptoms are very troubling and nobody understands around the mother what is happening. This is
Mm-hmm.
anything prolonged, beyond 2 to 4 weeks of persistent sadness, persistent
Mm-hmm.
mood swings, persistent irritability, crying for no reasons, having
Mm-hmm.
thoughts of, harming yourself or abandoning the baby, feeling overwhelmed consistently. Sleep and appetite has not returned to what you would expect for a postpartum person. Lactation difficulties are happening, and then the mother is blaming herself even more and more and more. Whereas the
Mm-hmm.
depression can cause a fall in milk output. And when you
Mm-hmm.
start treating it, all of these things normalize. This requires treatment. It requires medical treatment, counseling, support. हम बच्चा ले लेते हैं जी is not going to help. So this is something I would want the caregivers and the person to be aware of, and ask your doctors, what should I
Mm-hmm.
look out for? When do I consult you? When do I
Mm-hmm.
ask for more help? And obstetricians need to be aware of it. Nowadays, most of them are. Lactation
Mm-hmm.
consultants will also ask a question or two. But if you're aware, you're the best person placed to look for these things, and your partner. Anyone who is already a mother, in the process of becoming a mother, or has been a mother and is now in the grandparent stage, or just parenting adult children, they know that the challenge never ends. So I have like a 1 year old, and I hear this from everyone around me in a joking manner that this never ends, which is so reassuring, I must say. Once in a while I would appreciate senior women giving us positive feedback on the journey. I've put some, non-specific points. It's
Mm-hmm.
more related to women, I feel, in India, especially the subcontinent, because of that cultural upbringing as, the female or feminine gender. There is a do-it-all perfectionism that we have ingrained in ourselves, and this is across generations. I've seen it. We take on challenges and responsibilities even when it is not being asked of you, because you've
Mm-hmm.
just put it on yourself and you want to do it all to perfection, and we are not taught to ask for help. So that is definitely, it becomes challenging, because then you start burning yourself out trying to be the perfect caregiver, perfect partner, perfect daughter, perfect parent, perfect
Mm-hmm.
everything except perfect for yourself at times.
Okay.
And
Okay.
this sense of projected efficiency, there are very few women who will come and say, oh my God, I can't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
majority of them, us, would like the world to see us as very efficient machines, Indra Nooyi's in the making, who can do it all. But
Right.
it is a fallacy, and the lady herself has said it. Ladies in power today are now coming out and saying that. So I would like young women and women across the board to kind of start internalizing that message. We are
Mhm.
not perfect. We cannot do 100% things with 100% efficiency 100% of the time.
Mhm.
And there
Mhm.
is a hormonal roller coaster happening in women as it is,
Mhm.
towards the fag end of your reproductive life, when the
Mhm.
ovulation is stopping and the hormone levels are falling, because that is no longer needed. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
life has stopped. It doesn't mean you have to retire from either public or social or personal or partnered life.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
connotations around that also in our culture slowly need to shift. It is
Mhm.
not, अब उम्र हो गई है खाली तीर्थ यात्रा करो या बच्चे खिलाओ. We kind
Mhm.
of need to get out of that mindset as well. And I think women take a lot of pressure on themselves regarding that. And
Okay.
many stresses come from that, this kind of thinking, this kind of environment, this kind of pressure on yourself. So small exercise, our listeners can do. There are many rating scales for stress available online. Take one,
Mhm.
score yourself, see how you
Mhm.
feel. Or if you're
Mhm.
constantly stressed, please
Mhm.
reach out for help. There are counselors available, there are psychologists available, there are doctors available.
Right.
And the last thing I want to say to all women across all ages, self care without guilt and without regret.
Mhm.
Either
Mhm.
we won't do it or we will do it with this constant background message in your head, oh my god, I could be doing this, or oh my
Right.
god, I could have done this. Even a
Mhm.
simple thing like going to a salon or getting your hair done, a lot of women enjoy outings like that, or going shopping. And then you will
Right.
guilt yourself even when nobody else has said anything to you, and you've earned it, you've earned the time, you've earned the money. But you will
Right.
put pressure on yourself कि नहीं बच्चे के लिए ये कर लेते, मम्मी के लिए ये कर लेते, or whatever it is in your
Right.
life.
Right.
So these,
Right.
I feel, are some challenges. Please add to them. I'm sure I'm missing a lot.
Sure. 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 Okay, great. So, we spoke about, we talked about stress results, and I just want to share here with our audience that Samvedna does have a self-assessment tool
Hmm.
for screening your mental well-being, and I'll share the link here on the video. It's map.samvednacare.com. You can go and take a 2-minute test and get a complimentary session with a counselor to understand your results. And then there is of course a self-care module within the tool platform, so that it'll give you a daily nudge for an activity. Like you said, guilt-free self-care is very important. And do try it out, those who are listening to this podcast, and let us know. Reach out to us if you need any help. Right.
Has been gendered for a long time. Not enough studies were done, and a lot of symptoms were just brushed under the rug as part of getting old or part of a
Mhm.
woman being a woman. Like I said earlier, a young
Mhm.
person is labeled hysterical, and an older person, a more senior person, is labeled redundant. तो आपके symptoms का कोई value ही नहीं है. And like I said, I am still learning, things which are not considered symptomatic are actually symptoms of perimenopause and menopause, because your body and your brain is on a chemical roller coaster.
Mhm.
Estrogen and progesterone is falling. Your brain is trying to push out chemicals which release those chemicals, raise the fertility hormones so that more, eggs can be pushed out of the ovary, but the ovarian reserve has fallen. So those, your brain and mind are in conflict, kind of, body and
Mhm.
brain. And that in itself, now when it's pushing out these hormones and the estrogen and progesterone is falling, everything is connected in the body, your dopamine and serotonin levels fall. As
Mhm.
most people would know in this day and age, these are the happy chemicals, these are the chemicals for energy, cheerfulness, motivation. All of this is dropping. What this means for you as a woman, basically, there are physical changes, there are mental changes, there are emotional changes that nobody talks about, and they all come in this one beautiful package called menopause. So you either just stay away from this person who's angry and irritable all the time, who doesn't understand her own moods, let alone, you are expected to understand and respond to them, or
Right.
people kind of start retiring from their
Mhm.
own life, which is kind of sad today, because again, help is available. We are all
Mhm.
still learning, and the best thing you can do is talk to a care provider, because every person is unique in this one regard. Every woman's symptoms are different in this one regard, especially because what bothers them most will be different from other women. It's not always chichirapan for everyone. So just quickly to go over the few symptoms that I have studied and then what I've learned, you can
Right.
start from top to bottom. There's irritability, there's mood changes, there's increase in anxiety, there's sleep changes, there's appetite changes, there's changes in weight, there's changes in body shape because your reproductive organs are kind of regressing. So your breasts are changing, your body shape is changing, and again a lot of body image issues come into picture. Your skin is becoming thinner. You might actually have acne breakout, thinking, oh my god, am I a teenager again? But it's the end of the spectrum of the reproductive life.
Right.
Again, not something everybody talks about, not even something patients come and say themselves, because there's so much shame and guilt associated around this. Vaginal dryness, there's involution of the reproductive system, so your sex life is getting affected. There's dissatisfaction within the relationship. Now this is something all coming from one thing that we're not talking about.
Right.
Moving on. Now those are the physical and the emotional symptoms. Mental changes, you can have mental fog, you can have change in concentration, you can have change in attention, your memory can be patchy.
Yeah.
But it's
Right.
not permanent, it's not dementia, it's getting misdiagnosed as depression, it's getting misdiagnosed as some vitamin deficiency या फिर अब तो उम्र हो गई है. India, we love saying that, but in my experience and study, it means nothing.
Right.
There is a way to deal with every stage of life. There is a stage of life. This is another stage that is happening, and unfortunately for women, it's a pretty long drawn one. But when you
Right.
take it into context, there is 60 years of a
Right.
reproductive life, or maybe 50, because you're starting at around 10, 11 of age, and then 60 to 65 is when it's ending. So that's 50 years of a reproductive life cycle. 40 years of pushing out eggs and being fertile, and then around 10 to 15 for the body to reconcile and wind down and kind of switch off the ovaries, so to speak.
Sure.
Help is available, intervention is available for each of these symptoms. We have to figure out where maybe your role and my role comes in, is in counseling these women that, one, what is normal and what is to be expected. Again, if you're prepared, you can prepare for it better. Two, what are the medications and interventions available these days? You have nutritional supplements. You have to change your diet around this phase of your life. You have to change the physical activities that you're doing. Muscle strengthening becomes more important than the cardio and the weight loss. So
Yeah.
not everybody talks about this. Calcium, minerals, supplementation has to take place. And then finally, medications. हमें दवाइयाँ नहीं खानी है. It's not just painkillers. We are not putting you on things that you are afraid of. It can be a short course of antidepressant. It can be, just supplementary anxiolytic to get you through the important phases, because you're not going to stop going to work. You're not going to stop taking meetings. Nor do you
Right.
want to be labeled as a difficult person at this stage of your
Right.
life.
Right.
So
Right.
there are things to be done. There is magnetic stimulation. There is ketamine therapy. There are n number of things. There are nutraceuticals, and then there are physical things to be done. There are specific exercises to
Okay.
help you regulate your moods. And I'll go back to the beginning of life. We are not taught emotional regulation. There is a different kind of emotional spectrum coming with the experience. They're very
Right.
confident in themselves, these women, and it's awesome. But then you're
Yeah.
so confident that I am right that you refuse to consider that maybe things are changing in your body and somebody could help you through it
Right.
better.
Right.
Having said all of that, the bottom line is quality of life. If your sex life can be maintained, if your social life can be maintained, if your physical, stamina and motivation and energy levels can be maintained, why not?
Right. Sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So caught up in the chemistry of it, the psychosocial aspect is pretty much what you're saying. It plays a
Yeah.
huge role. And again, we are not trained for it. Like, retirement planning for working professionals. You don't prepare to be completely, jobless from 9 to 5. So
Right.
here,
Right.
they have not prepared to be empty nesters. What is your own life? What are your own hobbies? And rediscovering yourself in a, manner of speaking absolutely plays a role. It can affect your mood. It can affect your lifestyle. And if you're prepared for it, or if you do counseling, or you found support systems, again, we can help through it. They can help us through it. We can help each other through it. And relationship issues, like you said, are also
Yeah.
important.
Yes. Yes. No, great, great. So I think we covered. I think the most important thing in this whole conversation is, what do we do to maintain that quality of life, and we have talked about that. We spoke about the different stages of the lifespan of a woman and mental health. Um, I would now, like you to just help us like summarize this, and what are your, parting thoughts on this in terms of self-care or any other things which you would like to share for us to reflect on.
We have talked about a lot of things for a lot of, long time now. And in this conversation, it occurred to me the number of times I said, I'm still learning. So the most important thing is for women to know their own bodies and brains and minds. I
Yes.
don't think we are taught enough, or it is taught in a context of, generally just people in general. And
Mhm.
yes, men are also important, but there are physical differences. We can't deny those things. So know your own body, ask questions from your doctors, ask about the different phases of your life, what to expect in your, changes chemically, hormonally, physically, what to expect, and be
Mhm.
prepared for, as we say, prevention is better than cure. So if you're prepared and you have a team already in place, you're not going to panic and you're not going to feel helpless and alone. Most
Mhm.
importantly, the support system will always be there. So that is one thing, learning yourself, having a support system in place. Third, just to summarize the, reproductive cycle of a woman, which is outside the entire lifespan of a woman, because that is, and we are
Mhm.
kind of, lucky, I guess, in that sense. You live longer than men. Nobody really talks about that as well. So last
Yeah.
stages of life, it is very likely that women are going to be alone for the last 10, 15 years if you're partnered, or otherwise you're going to be outliving the other gender and having, you might need to make new friends in that phase. Not something most people talk about or think about. And in the West, they have retirement communities, so it doesn't come up. But here, what do you do?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that should also be included from 0 to 100 of a woman. It's a glorious long life. And let's be aware and let's support each other through it. And lastly, this is something I'm coming to realize myself. It's not written somewhere, it's not a study. Generational help is lacking. I think about myself. I had a lot more male role models as opposed to
Uh-huh.
female role models. And there are things specifically that a woman needs to see which
Okay.
a man really can't teach you. Like in this phase of my life, motherhood and juggling my career and family, or
Right.
getting married, or planning, taking care of your parents, also taking care of your kids, also the burden of responsibility, partly imposed, partly self imposed, is still on me. So
Right.
I think intergenerational conversations are very important for our gender.
Yes. Yes. No, very well put, and very insightful discussion we had today. I'm sure there is a lot to take away from this for everyone.